Hello and welcome back to Minecraft All the Mods 10. Last time we made this beautiful platform, also known as the start of the mega base. So let's make the entrance. Now, while off camera, I was experimenting with a few materials just to get a base idea of how I want this to look, and it seems to be that we are going to be leaning into this Gothic theme. Now, the plan was to use lunar planks, the walls, and on the corners, use some blackwood logs each corner of the building. Now we won't be stripping these logs because I actually preferred them as they are. And we want nice tall windows with a nice tall door. We'll be using some stained windows, and I've gone with the actual light grey stained windows, and we've chiseled them. And with a few details on the door, plants added in for each corner of the build so far, and some mage lanterns added on the front. This was a basic idea of how I want this thing to look. However, I'm not too sure I'm convinced on the lunar logs. Now, at this stage, I didn't really have any inspiration of what we could do with what we've got going into the build. So I did a little bit of Googling, and this is the idea I kind of want to go with. Of course, I want to change the materials. We're not going to be using things like basalt or any blackstone or anything like that. I kind of want to keep it to a wooden theme. Now that we have some form of inspiration, it's time to destroy our little preview and try and go for the full thing. And the first thing, I was trying to figure out the kind of shape that I want to take, and using our picture as a reference, I kind of wanted a portion of the house jutting out a little bit, and that'll be where the door is. Now initially I tried a few jut outs and I don't think it looked quite right when we tried to put the door in, so I ended up moving it back to just one, which is where I thought this actually looks okay. I'm gonna go with it. So now it's just deciding on how tall we want the door, how tall we want the windows, and things like that. And once I'd managed to get a rough height for the windows and doors, we took a bit of a step back, and it was deciding how to texture this thing. Now there are a couple blocks that we could use. We could use the stripped blackwood logs. We could use the lunar logs themselves and the stripped variation of them. But when I started mixing some of them in, I was a bit unsure on whether I actually like it. Either way, I thought the stripped blackwood logs were too dark, they can't stay, they come out. We then tried to substitute them for something else, maybe like a basalt, polished basalt block. But again, it didn't, that was too light and it didn't look right. But I thought maybe if we started mixing some in, maybe it'd look a little bit better. So that's what we did. We managed to mix in some normal lunar logs and some stripped lunar logs with a little bit of basalt, and I still don't think it's right. And after removing the basalt blocks, we were left with a load of holes in our wall. And we can't have that now, can we? One block I think we could potentially use is ebony logs. Now, we wouldn't use the standard log. I think we would strip them because it turns into quite a nice flat texture. When we step back, I think this actually looks quite nice against the deep slate walls that we have for our platforms. So we'll throw a couple of lanterns by the front door. Now where the jut out is, I want that as like a balcony look over area, and the way we're going to achieve this by using some framed stairs at the top of the pillars of blackwood, condensing them down to a one pillar post instead of the two that we have on each of the corners, and then running along the top we're going to put some more blackwood logs tilted to the side. And as a flooring, I really liked the ebony planks, so that's what we're going to go with. Now, we've used normal anvils on our platforms as like rail. However, there are these specific anvils from Railcraft Reborn that are slightly darker and are equally just as good. Once those were added, to add a little bit of depth, we're going to throw in some vertical frame slabs across the row of logs underneath the anvils and put blackwood back into them just to give the building that little bit of depth. So with that done, let's add a couple of plants to get a bit more colour involved in the build. So a couple of rose bushes with some trap doors, act like plant pots, and there's also this other plant that I want to add onto the build, and it's glowing lichen. Now I got this idea from Ryan. Ryan actually gave me this idea and I kind of liked it. I thought it doesn't look half bad. Because glow lichen doesn't grow naturally, it doesn't, once you place it down, it doesn't extend like say a vine would. This block or this plant is absolutely perfect, and it adds a little bit of glow to the build at night time. Now the only problem with it is I don't have that much of it, so we're going to have to get an automated way of getting it, and the way we're going to do that is by using a botany pot with a chest. Now I put in a hoe, but really I should have put in some shears inside the botany pot, and then we'll start getting some glow lichen. So while that's going to be producing, let's get back to the build. Now that the whole bottom is textured, let's work on top. So again, we keep with the blackwood log theme and the Una logs up until we get to about roof height. Once we figured out roughly a height for our roof, we're going to use some polished blackstone brick stairs and also some deep slate tiles stairs. Now I want this roof quite a steep roof and then curves off. But if it's too steep, it's not going to look that good. Trying to find that balance is a little bit difficult. You may notice there are two blackwood log beams that are taller than the rest. That's because I want to have a massive dormer on the front. Once we had got a shape that we were happy with, we could then infill this with deep slate tile stairs and work on window placements and door placement. And with having that dormer on the front, we were able to make a circular window as well, sort of like as a feature. So now that we have windows and a couple of lanterns hung up, we can actually start finishing this portion of the build. First things first, texturing the walls. We're going to do very much of the same thing until we have something a little bit like this. And I wonder how our glow lichen is going. Turns out we have a lot. So we'll take some of these and we'll start throwing them on the building as well in random places until we have something that looks like this. I really like this now. This is starting to look good. And again, we'll start to throw some plants down so we've got a little bit of colour variation. And there are two things left that I want to do to this build. One is texturing the roof. Now, when it comes to texturing the roof, I'm going to use all the different variations of deep slate, other than polished deep slate. So that's cobbled, cracked tile, bricks, and we'll get those in stair form. I also want to start to mix in some of this scorch here as well. I've never used it before to build, but it looks kind of similar to the texture of deep slate, and I actually really like it. So again, same story with the roof as we did with the walls. Random places, break some, place some in. And with the scorch here, because we don't actually have a variant of stairs, I'm going to have to use some frame stairs and then put scorcher in those frame stairs. And this roof is looking absolutely amazing. And the last thing I want to add before we end off today's episode is some lamp. Kind of like what we have going on our platform. I want the same thing, but on the balcony instead. So instead of using the same type of materials that we used on the platform below, I'm going to use some deep slate tile walls some lunar fences. And then to keep it all in theme, we're going to use the same glowstone and soul lanterns. And we'll change the trapdoors to match the fences, so lunar trapdoors. Just like that, we have ourselves a finished base. Now, of course, we've not mined out the middle mountains, so we've not got really a room, but that can be something that can be done off camera. You guys ain't going to want to see that. However, this is going to do us for today's episode. Unfortunately, I'm going to run out of time, and even more unfortunate, I'm going to be taking a little break from Minecraft content, only because I feel a little bit burnt out at the minute. Now, that's not to say it's going away. It might be back within a week, 2 weeks. It could be a month. I really don't know, but I will be taking a short break. Don't worry if you are just here for videos. There's going to be 2 videos still going up a week. It's just the Minecraft ones are going to be slowing down just for a little bit. We'll still do some 3-hour challenges and things like that. But as for All the Mods 10, we're just going to be taking a short break. But while I'm on this short break, if you have missed any other All the Mod 10 videos, there's a full playlist on the channel. You've caught up with that. There's All the Mods 9 and even Stone Block 2 playlists on the channels, which you guys can go and watch if that is something you are interested in. But for now, thank you all for watching today's episode. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you all when we return with Minecraft All the Mods 10 or the next video, depending on which one you watch.